Hi, good afternoon. Just please give me a minute and I will start the presentation immediately. So, hello. In this afternoon, you are on the last webinar of this job fair. My name is Krisztina Nagy and I'm working for Ericsson for more than 15 years now. And today I would like to give you some insight about our company, the Hungarian site, and also microwave and cloud run, the two areas I'm representing. So just as a start, think a little bit that how does your everyday life look like? And how much time from that do we spend on being connected on any device, such as our phone, the laptop, or anything else? And moreover, how would these days life be without having or being able to be connected? So that I think that's extremely critical, especially during these very strange and tough days. And that's actually one purpose of Ericsson. So the company here, we would like to be the top and the leaders of the ones who are creating an intelligent and sustainable and connected world. And in the following, I would like to quickly guide through that, how did this start, and how actually what is a little bit of history of the entire telecommunication. That's quite interesting, not only from the companies, but overall how telecommunication was evolved and how it's emerging throughout the last years. So that would be quite fast for sure. It all started back in the 80s when the company was founded by Lars Magnus and Hilda Ericsson. And yes, the first phone, it came up in 1878. Then a few years later, first manual telephone exchange. Then in 1923, first mechanical switch, that's some scaling up, some performance improvements. And in 1956, the first mobile telephone. I was quite surprised to see that actually, that was so long ago, a little bit heavy with 40 kilograms. So then going to the 70s, that's improving the network elements more and more. In the 80s, a combined switch with radio solution. And then we go to the 90s, probably some of you haven't born yet, but at least this is when we have the first mobile phones out. And I think that's the age when the name of the company is becoming more popular. That's a mass product for sure, definitely more popular or known than a switch itself. 19th, that's about Bluetooth, a new dimension in the wireless connectivity. And then after the 2000 years, there is a very rapid emergence of the mobile broadband. So see, it's how this entire evolution, how fast it became during the last years. So, and it hasn't stopped. So where are we today, and what's coming next now in our days? There are forecasts and projections everywhere and done by all companies or multiple companies. And actually what's just being projected by Ericsson, that in the next 5 years, 60% of the world's population will have access to 5G. That would mean 3.5 billion 5G subscriptions. Today we are roughly at 1 billion, so that's also a significant increase. And what is also being projected that in the next 5 years, the global mobile data traffic growth will be more than 4 times. This is an extreme demand on the vendors and on the operators, and everyone needs to keep up with the momentum, with this momentum somehow. Now we reach a little bit, I'm making big steps here. This is how or where 5G comes into the picture. And today we can say that Ericsson is one of the leading companies when it comes to 5G. I checked those numbers just yesterday evening, that where are we in this very recent race. And the situation is that by today, or as of today, we are having 134 commercial agreements and actually having live networks, more than 80 live networks in more than 40 countries. By the way, one of these live networks is being managed by Magyar Telekom, so that's available. We are in Hungary, one of those countries. And it is available now with 6 million radios. And today we are the number ones when it comes to the patenting as well. But moving over, what's next? And actually that cannot be a coincidence that we are that good and we are the leaders in 5G. This is a result of many years of investment, innovative thinking and understanding the market needs. And not to mention, this is a result of a huge investment, huge and continuous investment in research and development. So overall, the company is having more than 100,000 people around the world. And you see it's really around the world, everywhere. And out of that, there are more than 26,000 people working in research and development. So that's quite a huge number. We are having service delivery centers, as you just see on the map as well. And also you can see the geographical distribution. So 57,000 patents worldwide by Ericsson. That's patents are extremely important in this industry and as everywhere else, I would say. How does Hungary comes to this story? So surprisingly, Ericsson is being presented in Hungary for 110 years now. So this story has begun in 1911 when opening the first factory in Budapest. And on the timeline, you can follow that there were several steps and the level of involvement throughout the years. What I would like to highlight, it is 1991 when the first software development center was opened. And 5 years later, in 1996, the R&D organization was formed. And that's something which is just evolving and extending throughout the years until now in 2021. In 2021, today, we are having more than 1,400 people at the company. We are one of the biggest, I could say. And actually, with this size, Ericsson Hungary is one of the most important R&D sites of Ericsson. It's definitely one of the biggest R&D sites outside of Sweden as well. So with that number of people, we are covering the complete R&D change and on a really wide range of products and competencies. It's patents again. We are proud that we contributed with more than 500 patents to Ericsson, and that's mainly thanks to the research organization, what we also established here. University cooperation, that's extremely important for us. We are having close cooperations with multiple universities. That's just some joint studies, conferences, or students. We have a lot of students working even during summer internships, but what we also prefer and support that they just keep working for us as part-time students while they are completing their studies. Number of PhD degrees, something we are still, again, proud of, and also we put high focus on gender and cultural diversity. So all in all, you see from those numbers that the company is really a key player of the Hungarian ecosystem. I put here another slide that I will not explain it in details, just reflecting on the sentence from the previous one, that in the Budapest R&D Center, we are really covering a lot, and we have several levels of involvement and responsibility in many areas across the entire portfolio of the company. What I might highlight, that's on the bottom part, the third from the left, and this is the aggregation network and transports. So this is where in microwave, and namely the product is Minilink we are being presented. So microwave is part of the transport network, and that's something I'm going to detail a little bit in the next or the following part of the presentation. Ericsson radio system. Ericsson radio system is a complete system which is just to build the access networks using different products with radio, small cell, baseband, transport, then different RAN softwares, then Ericsson network managers, and the associated services. This concept of Ericsson that became quite successful, and what we see today, that some part of this Ericsson radio system solution are available in almost in 200 networks. But now going a little bit closer to our topic today, that's microwave and Minilink. As I just said, microwave is part of the transport network. So it's but what does it mean to the idea, and how can you imagine microwave? So basically, when do we use microwave at all? I have a very simple answer for that, or a few very simple answers. So you use microwave if you don't want or cannot use fiber, right? It's much easier to install. You don't need to dig into anything. Just you put your device there and then it's installed, that's all. So easy to install and much cost effective to install, much cheaper. So those are the two very strong benefits of microwave networks. And what we see today, that at least around half of the mobile networks are based on using microwave at some point. Another view is what we see in this figure, that where can you see microwave during your daily life? And that's basically everywhere, right? So you can find it in the inner cities. And if we just check 5G typical use cases, then those dense urban areas, those are the micro or street micros. Then if you just go a little bit outer from those dense cities, then it's also in the suburban backhaul capacities, and so on and so on. Just coming to the end when we are just covering the rural areas, or just building more coverage and redundancy. So what is the role of microwave when it comes to 5G? Then the expectation on microwave, and specifically on Minilink, our product, is just to increase the capacity and increase the bandwidth. So that's quite sustainable, and this is quite mandatory to be successful in 5G. So microwave and Minilink, some facts and figures, that this is not a new product of Ericsson. It has been developed since the 70s, and during these tremendous years, it's really available in 180 countries with more than 4 million deployed, a huge install base with more than 880 customers. So that it has a footprint for sure. And that means that today we are within the top 3 when it comes to the microwave market. And that's really a bit changing. That is its top 1, 2, or 3 from quarter to quarter. Capacities. It definitely depends on the frequencies what are being used. But you can see that there is also a big variety in that. It's 2 to 2 gigabits in traditional bands, but it can be, we can achieve 100 gigabits using E-band for a smaller distance of 1.5 kilometers. But we can also cover a much farther distance of 128 kilometers with a 2.3 gigabit per sec speed. So that's also just to reflect a little bit that microwave is a great tool to build or help any part of the network from Alaska until to the inner part of any city. But how can you do that? That's obviously not that easy. There is not one equipment to be used for that purpose. So what we see that our platform variance, it's quite a lot. It's starting with some modular equipments on the left, which are the split solutions, meaning that some part of the node is installed within something or house or maintenance cabinet, while there is another one definitely outside. There is also an all-outdoor solution where everything is equipped and just all together put somewhere outside. Long haul, this is the one purposing or helping with long distances, the 128 kilometers I just mentioned, and obviously you need the antennas, so that's a continuous area of improvement, how to make them more efficient and more purpose-based and things like that. This is the product we are working with in Ericsson with a team of almost 200 people. And that's the one where we are looking for new candidates, actually. So if you would like to be a software developer in Minilink, then listing a little bit that what would be part of your daily work. You will do some embedded software development using C or C++. You will develop features, meaning that can contribute for the planning and up until the execution. Then after that, or not then, but beside, you will contribute to bug fixing and also troubleshooting, and will work mainly on target device. And all this job will be done part of a cross-functional team. So a good candidate for us is someone who is having C or C++ experience, somewhat experience with Linux, and layer 2, layer 3 is an advantage. This is the first area I wanted to cover here, but that's not the end of the presentation because I would like to spend a few minutes for Cloud Run. Cloud Run is a totally new story for Ericsson. It was launched at the last quarter of last year. So this is an absolute hot topic for us, and we are really eager that we can participate in this new story of Ericsson. But what does Cloud Run mean very shortly? And again, a little bit history. If we just look back to the network evolution starting from 2G, 3G, 4G, etc., then what we see mainly from the history that all of those networks were mainly using purpose-built hardwares, and that were mainly distributed networks with very specific requirements on power efficiency, spectral efficiency, and of course size constraints and things like that. What we see and feel today that moving forward, this will not work, and we need to rethink and reimagine how our networks will look like. And this is how Cloud Run comes into the picture. Of course, this new network, it's not a totally new separate network. It's more something which can be a combination or the extension of the existing networks. No one will start it from scratch. So what is Cloud Run? Then very simply, Cloud Run is based on the radio access network services, where we are splitting the existing solution. We will have a top software application layer running the run services. Then we will have a middleware, which is the cloud platform, and those two are going to be executed on the off-the-shelf COTS hardware. So that's something which shall be quite agile, meaning also flexible, and also needs to be ecosystem friendly, meaning that needs to be able to work with other vendors. So that's good, but probably not enough. For the Cloud Run, we are going to use cloud technologies, and as a huge expectation on all of us, we are really keen on making continuous integration and deployment as a primary goal. So all on these future networks, it's really a must-have that you can just deploy and you solutions fast and you get the feedback loops fast. So very simple, this is what Cloud Run would mean for us. Obviously, this has some requirements on the transport network as well, and this is where we are looking for candidates in the Cloud Run transfer developer. There is a typo on the slide. in our organization. So on the daily basis, if you would like to join this part or this job or this team, then you will be part of a team who will define how this transport is established in a Cloud Run solution. This is a highly innovative task with a lot of learning, experiencing and prototyping, but similar to mini-link development, that's something you will do in a cross-functional team. A good candidate for this option if you are open and eager to learn new and learn and try new things. If you are experienced with containers and or cloud-based technologies, and it's nice to have if you are experienced with the Go language. So that was all. Here on the link, you can also find the link where you can find the jobs for us. And of course, on this job fair, you also can find Ericsson. So thank you for your attention. And now I will stop sharing and see that whether we have any questions. I cannot see any questions, but I'm not sure that shall I see them all. Concerning our, yeah, there was one question. Concerning your R&D work and testing activities, what extent are they public? It's to some extent, I would say we are following the traditional testing perspectives. I mean, of course, shift left is definitely important to do as much testing without hardware as possible. That's unit test and component tests. Then we have also functional test, the black box functional test, and that's as you are growing the complexity of the product, then we go to higher level, which is system test. And of course, we also always, and in all products, we are testing with other products and the other vendors as well. That's the network and integration verification. So it's very widespread, and depending on the complexity of the product, it requires a lot of time and effort. I'm not sure that any other questions. I think there are no other questions. You're welcome. One more. Oh, my team. Yes, thanks. It's personally me, and that's also quite typical. I'm working with 3 cross-functional teams. Those teams are having a size of 6 to 8 people typically, and it's a mix of people with more design focus and more with test focus. Of course, the ideal situation is if you are doing both, but that's not the expectation. So that's traditionally some people are more interested in coding, others in design or test. Sorry. So we work with those cross-functional teams, and we work with Swedish teams as well. So that's similar to other areas of Ericsson. Most of the teams are having some level of cooperation with one of the remote or the other sites within the company. And now I just see that we are running out of time. So really thank you for participating, and I wish you all the best. And I hope that you can find a matching job on the job fair. So thanks to you all.